In the shadowed echoes of Middle-earth's history, the defeat of Sauron after the destruction of the One Ring stands as a monumental victory for the free people. His fall seemed absolute, a final end to his reign of terror. Yet, one cannot help but ponder, what if Sauron survived the destruction of the One Ring? Could his lingering spirit weave threads of malice into Middle-earth? Join me as we delve into this intriguing what-if scenario, exploring the possibilities of Sauron's survival and the enduring impact of his malevolent influence. To understand the potential survival of Sauron, we must revisit his origins. As Maya, he is an immortal spirit, one of the lesser Ainur who entered Arda at its creation. Even with the ring destroyed, his spirit could persist, though greatly diminished. In The Return of the King, Gandalf foretells that if the ring is destroyed, Sauron would be reduced to a mere shadow of malice, unable to take physical form, but still capable of harboring hatred and envy. For he will lose the best part of the strength that was native to him in his beginning, and all that was made or begun with that power will crumble, and he will be maimed forever, becoming a mere spirit of malice that gnaws itself in the shadows, but cannot again grow or take shape. Even stripped of his physical form, Sauron's spirit could persist, a shadow of malice gnawing in the darkness. His capacity to influence the hearts of men through whispers of ambition, greed, and the allure of power might remain undiminished. The seeds of corruption he once sowed could still take root in the vulnerable corners of Middle-earth. To fathom how Sauron's influence might endure, we turn our gaze to the Black Númenóreans. In the days of Ar-Pharazôn, many Númenóreans, seeking to escape mortality, fell under Sauron's sway, as recounted in unfinished tales. In the days of Ar-Pharazôn, the proud men of Númenor sought to escape death by submitting to Sauron. Many turned to the worship of Melkor, and they fell into darkness. Their descendants, the Black Númenóreans, continued to serve the shadow in the east, and their hatred of the faithful burned still. Among them was the enigmatic figure known as the Mouth of Sauron. He was the herald of Sauron, a figure cloaked in obsidian armor who spoke with the very voice of the Dark Lord, instilling both terror and a twisted reverence in all who dared to face him. His voice was a chilling echo, a conduit for Sauron's malevolent will, delivering ominous messages and dire threats to his master's foes. Through a potent blend of dark sorcery and cunning rhetoric, the crafty and shrewd Mouth of Sauron sought to unnerve and dominate his adversaries, wielding fear as his most formidable weapon. In The Return of the King, his sinister role is unveiled. The lieutenant of the Tower of Barad-dûr he was, and his name is remembered in no tale, for he himself had forgotten it, and he said, "I am the Mouth of Sauron." But it is told that he was a renegade who came of the race of those that are named Black Númenóreans, for they established their dwelling in Middle-earth during the years of Sauron's domination, and they worshipped him, being enamored of evil knowledge. The Mouth of Sauron, as Sauron's most devoted servant, embodied his master's will, serving as the perfect vessel for his lingering influence. His deep-seated hatred and ambition made him a formidable force, even in Sauron's absence. What if the Mouth of Sauron survived the cataclysmic fall of Barad-dûr? Amidst the chaos and ruin, he slips away like a shadow, traversing the desolate lands, the Mouth of Sauron would skirt the vigilant borders of Gondor, perhaps moving through the hidden paths of Mordor and into Haradwaith. His journey would take him across scorched deserts and treacherous coasts, driven by a singular purpose. Being a Black Númenórean himself, his destination is clear, and his passage aided by those who still hold allegiance to the old darkness. In Umbar, he would be received not as a fugitive, but as a returning lord. The Corsairs of Umbar, mariners of dread, and descendants of Númenor's proud but fallen line, share a lineage and a legacy with the Mouth of Sauron. Their enmity toward Gondor is deep-rooted, born from ancient grievances and a desire to reclaim lost glory. In the appendices of The Return of the King, Tolkien writes, "The great cape and landlocked firth of Umbar had been Númenórean land since the days of old, but it was a stronghold of the king's men, who were afterwards called the Black Númenóreans, corrupted by Sauron, and who hated above all the faithful." With the Mouth of Sauron at their helm, the Corsairs might rally under a new banner of darkness. His mastery of dark lore and his intimate knowledge of Sauron's designs would make him a formidable leader. He could reignite the smouldering hatred the Corsairs hold for Gondor, uniting disparate factions with promises of power and revenge. Sauron's spirit, though now disembodied and unable to take physical form, might find a conduit through his most faithful servant. Through sinister whispers and haunting visions, the lingering malice of the Dark Lord could guide the Mouth of Sauron, orchestrating schemes to sow discord and reclaim influence. The harbours of Umbar would once again teem with activity. Black-sailed ships prepared for war, crews rallied by the prospect of plunder and conquest. The Corsairs, emboldened by their leader and the resurgence of Sauron's influence, could become a dire threat to the fragile peace of the Fourth Age. As Tolkien notes in The Peoples of Middle-earth, regarding the enduring enmity, thus the followers of Elendil came to be called the Faithful, and the king's men were called the Men of the Shadow. The former were devoted to the preservation of the old ways and friendship with the elves. The latter had become enamored of power and wealth and turned to darkness. In this unsettling scenario, the subtle hand of Sauron's spirit continues to weave its insidious threads. Men are, by their very nature, susceptible to the corruptions of power and desire. As is echoed in the lore of Middle-earth, the hearts of men are easily swayed when the allure of power is dangled before them. The strength of men lies not in their ability to resist power, but in their humility and courage to reject it. The history of Middle-earth is replete with tales of great men who fell from grace, ensnared by promises of dominion and wealth. The ring-wraiths themselves were once kings of men, corrupted by Sauron's gifts. This serves as a grim reminder that even the noblest can fall. 9 for mortal men, doomed to die. This line from the ancient verse highlights how Sauron exploited the weaknesses of men, granting them rings of power that ultimately led to their enslavement. While the Mouth of Sauron orchestrating from Umbar and the lingering whispers of Sauron's spirit, the stage is set for history to repeat itself. The Corsairs of Umbar, driven by their long-standing enmity toward Gondor and seduced by the prospect of renewed power, might once again succumb to the shadows. The insidious influence of Sauron could infiltrate the hearts of those yearning for greatness, turning their ambitions to his dark purposes. The shadow that was thought to have been banished would find new life in the vulnerabilities of men, proving that the struggle between light and darkness is a perpetual one. The final conflict, Sauron's return through men. In this grim scenario, the shadow of Sauron's malice extends far beyond Umbar, weaving its insidious threads across the lands of Middle-earth. The Mouth of Sauron, empowered by his master's lingering spirit, becomes the catalyst for a new and devastating war. One not waged by orcs and fell beasts, but by men themselves, seduced by the promises of power and vengeance. The Corsairs of Umbar, under his cunning leadership, rally their forces. Their black-sailed ships once again prowl the seas, bringing fear to the coastlines of Gondor. Yet, the Mouth of Sauron's influence does not stop there. He forges alliances with the Haradrim of the south, fierce warriors whose hatred for Gondor burns as hot as the desert sun. From the east come the Easterlings, hardened tribes with ancient grudges, answering the call to arms with grim resolve. The Variags of Khand, known for their warlike spirit, join the swelling ranks. Even the men of Dunland, still nursing old wounds against the Rohirrim, are stirred to action. As the alliance of the disaffected grows, the free peoples face an enemy that is both familiar and profoundly unsettling. The battles that follow are brutal and widespread, testing the strength and unity of those who stand against the darkness. Gondor, though renewed under the wise rule of King Elisar, finds itself besieged on multiple fronts. The White City braces for an assault unlike any before, a war of men fueled by the lingering shadows of a fallen Dark Lord. In the hearts of men, the true battleground emerges. The lingering influence of Sauron seeks to exploit their weaknesses, greed, pride, and the thirst for power. It is said that the hearts of men are easily corrupted, and the Mouth of Sauron wields this truth like a weapon. The fragile peace begins to fracture under the weight of old hatreds and new temptations. Yet, in the face of overwhelming darkness, hope is not lost. Acts of courage and unity begin to turn the tide. Former foes find common cause, realizing that their strength lies in standing together. The Mouth of Sauron, despite his cunning, cannot fully replicate his master's dominion. The spirit of Sauron, deprived of the One Ring and unable to reclaim his former strength, gradually loses its grip on the hearts it sought to corrupt. The alliances forged through malice begin to crumble under the weight of solidarity and resolve. As we reach the end of our journey through this alternate path of Middle-earth's history, we are reminded that the defeat of a great evil does not guarantee its complete eradication. The resilience of Middle-earth's future depends on the choices of its people, their courage to stand against corruption, their willingness to unite despite old grievances, and their commitment to uphold the values that sustain peace. Thank you for joining me on this voyage into the depths of Middle-earth's untold possibilities. Your companionship enriches our exploration of these timeless tales. If you found value in this journey, we kindly ask you to support our quest by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. By clicking the bell icon, you'll ensure that you're notified when we embark on new adventures. Until our paths cross again, may the stars shine upon your faces.